Hi everybody, and welcome to another edition of First Person, as always sponsored by the Precision Strip Company in Minster, Ohio. We couldn't do it without them. A great neighbor, great sponsor, great support for the communities of BUCKEYES County, the kids and the people there, and all of the activities that have mattered so much for so long. The sponsors of First Person here on PressProsMagazine, 3 years now. Thank you to them. Bruce Hooley, if you're not familiar, is our guest this week. The newest edition, second time around at PressProsMagazine, and of course one of our beat writers for Ohio State sports, but so much more when you consider all the places you've been. And you know, I think back, Bruce, about your days at the Troy Daily News, then the Miami Herald, then the Plain Dealer, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, then WBNS in Cleveland, the time you spent there, most recently at Sports Illustrated. How in the world could you leave all that to come back to Press
Well,
Pros?
you know what? I just love the fact that you've done such a great job at Press Pros growing the site over 10 years, and it offers me a ton of freedom and a ton of opportunity to integrate some of the things that I've done later in my career from the broadcast side and from the streaming video side with what you're doing here and all the great fans that you have, you know, in the MAC, the League of Champions, and schools that I used to cover when I was at the Troy Daily News. You know, your pick with Troy, Sydney, schools like that. So I'm really excited. It was great today to get to go meet some of the coaches and put a face, you know, with the voice that I've talked to on the phone, and so it's really going to be fun.
I think, speaking for myself and a lot of readers, they particularly enjoy the perspective that you bring. Now, I mean, you've been at this a long, long time.
You sure about that?
Yeah, you've been around the hoop. I know a lot of people remember you for some of the stories that you've written in the past, but I just think there's a lot of people who really enjoy the fact that you bring a fresh perspective, one that always is centered around the truth about the story that you're covering.
Well, I like to think so. I mean, it's very important to me from a personal integrity standpoint, and from the fact that, you know, as you went through some of the places that I've worked before, the 3 years that I spent in Troy are 3 years that I really cherish. The friendships. Had a chance today to reconnect with Coach Steve Knoll, Aaron Johnson, the quarterback on the first team I covered there. I remember covering a 7-overtime basketball game at Troy. I remember covering the Tip City girls and the Bethel girls in the state tournament. Just so many great people that I met in Miami County and, you know, throughout those years. So high school sports is a very, very special place in my heart. I was fortunate enough to be on 2 state championship teams in high school, and I've covered all the big events, Super Bowls, Final Fours, and all that. But you get an enjoyment level out of seeing high school kids and the community bond that high school kids have with their parents, with their fans, that you don't get at the pro level and at the college level. So it's exciting for me to be a part of that and to tell a lot of those stories again with people who are really grateful for the coverage. That's the one thing that really resonates with me and your many readers of Press Pros.
As I like to say, I still think high school sports is the last bastion of sports for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything you remember, with a little bit more today in terms of the culture, change of cultures, but still, you know, you go home at night, you get out the math and English book at 9 o'clock and you do your homework.
Yeah, and I just think, Sonny, there's so many things about high school sports. I mentioned the MAC and all the championships, and every team in that league's won championships in multiple sports, and that's great. But to me, high school sports is about so much more than that. It's about the lessons that you learn, about learning, you know, the value of delayed gratification. You put in practice, you go train in the off season, and that pays off later. Hard work, dedication, dealing with adversity, submitting to authority, all those things that are things that, you know, we kind of push back against in society, but those are bedrock values that I have, I know that you have. Those are bedrock values that have helped Press Pros grow over the years. And those are things, too, that when I think about high school sports, you know, it's not just the kid that gets a college scholarship. It's not the kid that makes all league or all state. It's the camaraderie that you build within a team, where you're going to have maybe a player who, this is the last time they're ever going to play organized sports. And they might be somebody on a team who's not surrounded by a ton of friends. They're the kid who, you know, other than that friendship and that network of friends that they make through their team, they don't feel that same kind of support in the school. But, you know, because you're on a team, if you mess with that kid, you mess with everybody on the team. And I think those things to me are what's precious about high school sports, because I've had reunions with the state championship teams I was on, and we don't talk about the meets or what we did the day we won the state. We talk about the fun we had at practice and the friendships and the relationships, and those are the things that really sustain people.
And you talk about community pride.
Right.
Community pride.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of people, in an introduction, I said that you will be a central figure in our Ohio State beat coverage, particularly in basketball this year. And you know, the $64,000 question, everybody's sitting there waiting to say, Bruce Hooley, what's going to happen with football? You recently wrote, there's a lot of things that could happen, and a lot of them aren't necessarily good when you consider the long-term ramifications to Ohio State football. That being the draft-eligible guys next spring, and say, hey, I'm not. If we play in the spring, I'm not risking it.
Well,
you know, recruiting classes are at risk. Everything is on the table with this. What's going to happen in your view?
Well, in my view, I hope eventually we get answers. I think right now one of the reasons people are really struggling with this decision to postpone Big Ten football is that they don't feel like they've really gotten the true answer. You know, Kevin Warren, the commissioner, has been hard to get to. Justin Fields' petition got close to 300,000 signatures. The parents want answered. I think they're due answers. And I think when you have a league with 14 schools that are public institutions, one's private, Northwestern, those presidential salaries are paid by taxpayers. And if you're going to take something away, and I'm not arguing that it wasn't a prudent decision, but at least tell us why. You know, you make a comment, Kevin Warren did in his letter, that COVID rates are rising. Well, you know, what numbers are you looking at? You can make those numbers say whatever you want them to say. So I think, number one, hopefully we get answers. I think the Big Ten is committed to playing winter or spring. I have questions about winter because everybody's going to have to travel to every game. They're going to play it in domes. Are fans going to be able to go? You're playing indoors as opposed to outdoors. Is that really prudent? Basketball, I think, is toying with the idea of playing in a bubble, which is crazy to me because you want to talk about these players being student athletes, and that's the phrase people always want to use at the NCAA level. Well, how can they be students if you're going to sequester them off-site in a bubble? I don't think that plays very well. I don't think that plays well at all.
Well, anyway, time will tell.
Yeah.
And you know the thing about it is that time's going to be here just like that.
It is.
It's going to be here quicker than you notice. In addition, I'm excited with your responsibilities at Press Pros about some new things that are coming down the road very soon in terms of the way we cover high school sports. You're going to be a central figure in that. You're going to be on some of our Friday night venues here early on in the season. Football, some volleyball, state tournaments, things like that. But I want you to talk about another element that you're bringing to Press Pros here within a matter of weeks.
Well, one of the things that I enjoy so much is interacting with fans and interacting with coaches and athletes. And we want to give our Press Pros readership, our Press Pros audience, the opportunity to interact with us, with the writers, and hear from the coaches and hear from the players in a format different than what you've already done so exemplary over the years, which is through print and through your great photographs. We want to give people the opportunity through podcasts, through streaming video, where people can watch it live or watch it on tape. If they watch it live, they can comment through Facebook, through Twitter, through YouTube. It'll give us a chance to give really fresh information, keep up with breaking news in all the leagues that we cover, and also to interact with fans and to let people hear from the people that they care most about.
The pride of West Liberty Salem High School, am I right?
You are right. You're right about the high school. I don't know about the pride.
Tell me about what were the two state titles?
The 2 state championships in cross country my junior and senior year.
So you're still out there running?
I am figuratively running more than literally, yeah. Running after my 3 daughters. That's what I'm running after right now.
Bruce Hooley, back with us for a second tenure at PressProsMagazine. We couldn't be more pleased. Thank you for your time and your contribution, and always fun to sit and talk sports with you.
Always great to talk with you. I've known this guy for longer than I'll say. He's very dedicated to his audience, and I'm here to help make it better, and we love to hear from you. So stay with us, and we got some exciting things coming in the next few weeks.
We like to think we're all pretty dedicated to the audience.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that wraps up this edition of First Person with Bruce Hooley, sponsored again by the Precision Strip Company in Minster. Generations of great support and stewardship to the Auglaize County communities of Minster and, of course, New Bremen. On behalf of Bruce and the sponsors, again, as I always say, we could not do this without your support. Thank you for what you do for us each and every week here on PressProsMagazine.com. And we'll see you again, as always, with another edition next week of First Person. Have a great week, everybody.